So, Pokemon Go is a thing. I like it, although I do have some major issues with it. The chief of which is kind of that it doesn't feel like a Pokemon game aesthetically. You know, it's evident that it was developed mostly by a third-party mobile company. And that's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice, you know, if Pokemon Company or Nintendo or someone had had more involvement in the art design. But I can forgive that, because it may not feel like a Pokemon game aesthetically, but it does thematically, and that's what's important. But to explain that, I have to go further into the main series portable games, so let's do that for a sec, if you'll humor me. I know it's not as topical. Wow, my nipples are super noticeable in these on-camera clips, and I can't figure out how to crop them out properly, so please don't make fun of me. So everyone seems to agree that the Pokemon games are just classics, right? You know, they're simple, but they're still nuanced, they're accessible, they're full of iconic, charming imagery, but the specifics on that, the reasoning, is different for everyone. For me, it's the setting. I've always been interested in the quote-unquote world of Pokemon and how it intersects with and supports the game's themes. In my opinion, the most interesting thing about the Pokemon world is that it's not actually that different from ours. I mean, yeah, okay, the animals have elemental magic, and they're dangerous sometimes. But like, what does that actually affect for the average person? I guess the economy and certain social structures. But the people in this world are almost the same as us. The way they form relationships and spend their time and enjoy the world, it's all the same. And the technology they use is only a little bit more advanced than ours, so the time period is like almost contemporary. So what that means, practically speaking, for the game's story is that anything the game says about the Pokemon world, they're also saying about our world, implicitly. I mean, that goes without saying for a lot of fiction, but like, with a setting that's this close to reality, there's much less abstraction going on. Like, after I beat Alpha Sapphire, when that was still new, I came away with an overwhelming sense that, like, we live in an amazing world that we all have a fleeting chance to experience. Because everyone in the game feels that way. All the NPCs you talk to are in awe of nature, in love with the world in a way that feels actually authentic. The game presents a world facing major ecological crisis in which adults are fallible and make huge mistakes in the name of ideology, and everything gets all screwed up. But hope can and does still exist in the form of a younger generation that thinks differently. Plus, Numel is really cute. If you can learn to ignore how corny a lot of the writing is, then you can see that a Pokemon game isn't an escape from reality so much as it is a celebration of reality, a projection of what reality could be. I mean, it's actually been confirmed that the main difference between their world and ours is that the people there are more disposed to, like, try to get along and solve problems. That's a pretty subtle vision of utopia. But for the most part, that's where the story ends, at least in those games. It's an imperfect system of theming, because what happens is a lot of people take that theme and go, oh wow, the Pokemon world is so great, without applying that to the real world, because the games don't give you a lot of reason to go out and experience anything. I catch myself doing this a lot of the time. Like, I can name any Pokemon on sight, but there's like a bird nesting 3 feet from my house that I can't identify, and that bugs me. Those games don't give you that much of a reason to go experience the world, but Pokemon Go does. It takes that theme and amplifies it. It organizes item centers around real-world locations and gyms too, and you just can't be good at the game without having a sense of your community. It's effectively gamifying community engagement, which is something very new for me, and also something very Pokemon, and it's kind of exciting, honestly. Of course, there are other issues with the game that are even greater than the ones I'm talking about right now. There's the issue of data mining, there's the problem with the servers always being down, and of course there's the fact that a lot of people can't play the game safely in their communities. But it's really kind of encouraging to see that alongside all the scary, big cyberpunk stuff happening with the rise of VR and AR, there's some genuinely good-natured stuff happening. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Zephiel810 for the Pokemon footage. I actually used his Kirby footage in the last video as well, but forgot to mention in the voiceover, so go check out that channel if you want to see some walkthroughs, and as always, follow me on Twitter.